Before we get to Aaron Akerejola and sport though, let's recall that a former Rivers State governor and 2023 All Progressives Congress presidential aspirant, Rotimi Amaechi, celebrated his 60th birthday on Saturday and used the occasion to reiterate his position that the Tinubu administration has only made life worse for Nigerians while calling for support for a political coalition to stop the president's 2027 second-term ambition. Amaechi made the remark as he was joined by People's Democratic Party's 2023 presidential candidate, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, a former governor of Kaduna, Nasir El-Rufai, and others at his 60th anniversary leadership lecture in Abuja.
This was a duty, a pleasure for me, and a sort of return match for the celebrant.
Opening today's 60th birthday celebration of former Rivers State Governor and two-time Minister Rotimi Amaechi is Nobel laureate Wole Soyinka, who points to the flawed nature of Nigeria's democracy.
Nigeria is a very weird country, or more accurately, let's say Nigeria is peopled by some very weird species. On that occasion, somebody, as usual, people carry all these political disagreements into the most execrable dimensions. And simply because one individual had a problem, political problem with Rotimi Amaechi.
Keynote speaker Dr. Chidi Amuta sets the tone with his lecture on democracy and the Republic of Poverty, where he underscores the nexus between the political industry and the weaponization of poverty. Panelists including former Director General of NIMASA, Dakuku Peter Side, Cardinal John Onaikong, and others frowned at the use of poverty as a political tool by the ruling class. Proponents of the coalition and political heavyweights, Atiku Abubakar and Nasir El-Rufai, former Kaduna State Governor, speak on the necessity of the coalition to unseat President Tinubu.
This particular government is weaponizing poverty. You may call me a conspirator, you may call me anything, and that is why we are in this alliance, to make sure we don't allow them to continue weaponizing policy.
I believe that the problem that we have, which I think Governor Babangida Aliyu referred to, is that we just get incompetent people and we hand over leadership to them. They don't know what to do. Most of them don't really know what to do. They just know how to grab power, but don't know what to do with it.
And the celebrant, who is visibly unsatisfied with the APC government, says the coalition is setting to sack President Tinubu.
In Nigeria, there are no capitalist ideas, there are no socialist ideas among the politicians. It's about sharing. The quarrel among the elites is about sharing. So, sir, we want to submit to the opposition if the opposition can lead us out of this problem. And for the opposition to lead us out of this problem, we must all agree to submit ourselves to the interests of the nation first, before the interests of ourselves.
As today's lecture comes to an end, the main takeaway is that poverty is now a weapon of control by the Nigerian political class to keep themselves in power. Mary Chinda, Arise News.
All right, interesting gathering there, OG and Kachi, yes. To celebrate the former Minister of Transport, who's also a two-time governor of Rivers State, Rotimi Amaechi at 60, with a lecture and a book presentation. And what a gathering it was, and what, some submissions regarding the political direction of Amaechi himself and those around him. Many people might expressed a bit of surprise to see the Nobel laureate, Professor Wole Soyinka, in that gathering. But of course, from what he said, it's obvious that he was just basically there to honor the celebrator, at 60. But we had Atiku, we had El-Rufai, who, by the way, for me, it's a bit tiring listening to him every time whining. Only a few months ago, he was part of the ruling party, and if he had been made the Minister of Power, as was suggested the other time, maybe we would have been hearing a different tone. But it looks to me like the politics of 2027 are started in earnest, and we know those who are queuing behind either a new political party or a coalition. Amaechi says because his own party has failed, and the president who was elected on the platform of his party, by the way he contested the primaries of his party, he came second ahead of the former vice president, Yemi Osinbajo. He did well, but far behind the candidate of his party, who's now the president, who, by the way, as you're all aware, yesterday, he didn't seem to have noticed what was going on, in Abuja with the Amaechi clan, because he was in Lagos to commission the first phase, 30 kilometers out of the 47, I believe, of the Lagos-Calabar highway, coastal highway. Maybe in hours to come, maybe not days, maybe in hours to come, his own team will prepare an appropriate response not just to Amaechi, but to, all the gentlemen who were there and ladies who didn't have kind words for this present administration, which, by the way, is celebrating its midterm and has reeled out a number of achievements and the direction that the administration will go. So here we are, Rotimi Amaechi clearly coming out to say, I am not with this administration, I'm not with this president. I think that we will have to go with the opposition to rescue Nigeria from weaponization of poverty, as it says it. We await the response from the president's team.
Absolutely, and Amaechi actually did say that even before the president, assumed office, that he did tell him that he was not going to serve under him. And, we hear him there saying that, all this government is about capitalist ideas. And like you said earlier, it just shows that the politics of 2027 is in full swing, because listening to all of the opposition leaders there, you could just hear the amount of condemnation of this administration. Our reporter there said that the takeaway from that gathering was that, this administration is weaponizing poverty at this moment, and that's really the takeaway from that whole gathering. And I was actually quite surprised to see Professor Wole Soyinka at the gathering, and you did, inform me that, they both worked together in the past, Wole Soyinka and, of course, Rotimi Amaechi. But it was quite interesting to hear him say, Nigeria is a very weird country, because these are the sort of things that you hear from the Nobel laureate. I mean, the sort of demystification of Nigeria is still something that we are trying to grapple with. Some people will say to you, if they tell you that they understand something in Nigeria, just double check.
They've not explained it.
They've not explained it very well for you. And and that's where he's coming from in that regard, saying that Nigeria is a very weird country. And I told your line, I agree with you with the fact of El-Rufai. We always hear him speak, and there's really nothing positive coming out from him. I saw, one of the headlines on this day newspaper today. He said that Nigeria has handed over the country to urban bandits. Please, who are the urban bandits? Urban bandits. That's what he said during this, ceremony. Talked about, the fact that, our leaders are incompetent. All they want to do is grab power. And, people will continue to ask, I mean, you were in the administration that many have said have crippled Nigeria at this moment. What did you do? What was your contribution during your tenure in office?
To be made a minister.
Exactly. We did see him. He was trying to be He was trying to be confirmed at the time. I mean, there was this brouhaha whether we didn't go through national security or the national security advisor, all of that, which he has come out to debunk. But it is not, I mean, you cannot be a credible opposition if all you do is condemn. We need strategy. We need to hear critical sort of, conversation as to what is it that the government can do better, provide solutions instead of all of these condemnation. I mean, again, I wish Rotimi Amaechi a happy 60th birthday. It's pray to God that you stay till that you're alive till you're 60. It's good to see that one of the hosts there yesterday, I heard him say, we thank his wife because he's looking 35. Happy birthday, Rotimi Amaechi.
Rotimi Amaechi definitely throws an interesting party, and I think the people who were in attendance, several people can attest to that. Again, happy birthday to him. I believe he's a lawyer now as well. Recently, completed his law degree, and he's been, doing a lot of personal development. But speaking to what the party was centered around, which is the weaponization of poverty. Now, in as much as we are aware of what the whole 2027 politics playing out looks like, with El Rufai speaking, with Atiku speaking, there is a common factor, which is the fact that Nigerians deserve better. Yesterday, we had Bola Bakare on the show to assess President Tinubu at midterm. A lot of the economic reforms that have been put in place, which, he basically said, in as much as it looks good on paper, it is not translating to the reality of Nigerians. Nigerians cannot say that they have had a fantastic 2 years. But then again, there's a side of, well, it's still too early. It's going to get better. So we're all hoping for that. I think El Rufai, Atiku, all these conversations are good. You can, you want to condemn, that's fine. But if you were in that position, what will you do differently? With your own capacity, with what you have. Because you have served before. I feel like what upsets me is they behave like they've never tasted power before. They behave, if I were to go into politics today, considering I've never held a position of power, I have never had that kind of financial backing. I'm allowed to criticize and say, if you give me this, I will do this. Because you've never given it to me before, so you don't know what I will do. These men have all walked on the corridors of Nigerian power system. What did you do when you were there?
Up till 2 years ago.
Up to 2 years ago. What did you do when you were there? If given the opportunity, what will you do now? Amaechi has been very sacrosanct in his thoughts about this. He doesn't align with this government in any way. And he's been very clear that there must be something to shake things up come 2027. However, I'm not sure that the people that he is leaning towards and hoping will be the ones to shake things up are the right sect. I'm not sure if that coalition is what Nigerians even want to see, because if they were in there, what would they do differently? It's unfortunate to see Nasir El-Rufai speak and condemn and insult, because that is childlike. That does not speak to proper political reasoning, in the sense that you must give out, you didn't do this and this is the result. You did this and I have to commend you for that. Just like on the show yesterday, I did commend President Bola Tinubu on the oil and gas reforms that he's done so far, because we are seeing the industry move forward, a lot of fields becoming a lot more active, a lot of local players getting more and more involved with biojewelry within the NNPCL. That is one sector that's doing well. Economy can get better. We just saw the conversation on flooding. That can do better as well. I think we need fresher conversations and fresher ideas, not just criticism, because it's beginning to just look like a game where we just kind of gossip about and tease each other. But the Nigerian reality is still at stake. So I think that's a conversation that could have definitely been pushed forward at this event. But all in all, happy birthday to Rotimi Amaechi at 60. An amazing, amazing leader, if I do say so myself, and hopefully these conversations translate into some positive results for the people of Nigeria, where it matters.
Just a quick word on the Professor Soyinka and Rotimi Amaechi relationship. When Port Harcourt was the book capital of the world a few years ago, when Amaechi was the governor, Professor Wole Soyinka played an important role. I believe he was probably the chairman at that time, drew quality people, to Rivers State, discussing books, discussing literature, discussing reading. And so you could, see the connect between the two of them. But then wouldn't it be interesting if the good prof should come up with a book about what happened in Abuja yesterday. What sort of a title will he bear? Will it be a beatification of area boys, you know, or the assemblage of those who lost out, you know, in power, now trying to regain power? You know, it will be interesting.
Not trying to regain power.
Yeah. Well, he also made mention, Rotimi Amaechi, during his ceremony, that he doesn't mind joining forces with the opposition to oust President Bola Ahmed Tinubu come 2027.
That
so
is a very
we will
high
see.
goal.
Everything to stay relevant.
Everything to
That is
stay
all.
relevant. Happy
Catchy, let's
birthday.
move on.
All right.